Welcome to another episode of Systematic Geekology. This is a space where we seek to create and cultivate healthy conversations between those things we geek out on and the philosophical and theological questions that often arise out of our fandoms. Like, what does it mean to be human? What makes a hero? What makes a villain? How do the stories and narratives we geek out on shape how we live in the world? We are your priest to the geeks. We aren't all ordained, but we see ourselves as mediators at the intersection of geek culture and going deeper in our faith. We don't always have to agree, but we do respect each other, and we see everyone as a beloved child of God. Everyone geeks out on something, so come geek out with us and enjoy the show.
You're listening to an Anazao Ministries podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mama bears, cubs, and moose of all ages, we welcome you all to the wonderful world of Walt Disney's Animation Studios. That's right, today we will be talking about Brother Bear in our Disney Eras series, where we're going through a few of the movies in each of the major Disney eras. And right now we are in the post-Renaissance era. Really excited for this one. I am Joshua Noel. Usually we just tell you what we've been geeking out on and we do like a weird flex, and I'll just tell you, I've watched Brother Bear all the way through twice today while at work. I just propped it up while cutting a bunch of vegetables. Yeah. DJ, what have you been geeking out on?
Elden Ring. Shadow of the Erd Tree.
Yeah. Were there any bears involved?
Yeah, there are.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah, there are.
As there should be. Indeed. All right, well, we'll be talking about more bears as we do today's episode. But hey, guys, if you are on your laptop, go over to podchaser.com, rate and review us over there. That helps us a whole lot. If you're not on your laptop and you're just on your phone, you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, Spotify has where you can hit like settings and go to ratings and give us 5 stars. That helps a lot. Apple Podcasts has where you can rate and review. Doing that kind of stuff just really helps the algorithm and let other people find the podcast, which helps us a lot. So we appreciate it. Also, want to do a shout out to one of our supporters, Ethan Overcash. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And remember, you all can support the show and be like Ethan, either through Apple Podcasts, Captivate, or on Patreon. So we're getting a little confusing with the Disney eras this time because I reworked some stuff and then forgot to put it in a correct order. So this is, in fact, still post-Renaissance era, but the movie we're doing after this came out before this. Yeah. So for the post-Renaissance era, we already reviewed Atlantis. Today we're going to talk about Brother Bear. And then the next month we will be talking about Treasure Planet, which came out, I think, 1 or 2 years before Brother Bear. Brother Bear is 2002, 2004. No, Brother Bear is 2003. Treasure Planet was 2002?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll get there eventually. So we're doing a little bit out of order, which is going to matter very, very little. And the only reason it'll matter is just because Brother Bear kind of is... This is the straw that broke the camel's back on 2D animation for Disney Studios, and that's sad. But anyway, time to jump into the episode. We'll talk more about 2D animation soon. First, though, let's discuss our first experiences with Brother Bear. TJ, how old were you? When's your first memory watching the movie Brother Bear?
When it came out, I was 4. Don't remember watching it then. We had it on VHS, though, and I remember seeing it periodically growing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When's the most recent time you've seen it?
Periodically growing up.
So you don't remember the last time you watched this movie?
I was at daycare, I'm pretty sure. Maybe
Holy
once
crap.
since then, actually. I've found out a lot of people actually haven't seen Brother Bear.
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out that is in fact the case. Or they don't remember seeing it anyway.
Yeah.
Which I thought was absurd. I keep hearing be like, I see it, but I don't remember anything about it. Then I looked up what other movies came out around that time. And like, not only was like the year before and year after crazy. I mean, Ice Age had just come out. Finding Nemo came out. Same year, Pirates of the Caribbean comes out. The last of the Lord of the Rings movies comes out. Like literally some of the all-time best movies happened to come out 2003. And I'm like,
it
was
a rough year to be a movie.
Truly, for a movie that was good, but not the best. Yeah, terrible come out.
And it's not even like Brother Bear is actually good too.
Oh yeah.
And it profited. Like it wasn't a loss.
Yeah.
It just wasn't Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. It just if you saw all the movies that came out that year, there's just no way in hell that what you would have remembered was Brother Bear.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I saw Pirates of the Caribbean and Lord of the Rings, but how about that bear movie? You know, Finding Nemo, but remember that one joke that the moose made? You know, like, just wasn't happening. It's just a terrible year for this to come out, but great year for movies, just in general. It's weird. I do remember seeing this in the theater. I was old enough. I was like 10-ish. And I remember seeing it. And I remember my dad laughing really hard at pretty much anything the moose did. He just thought they were hilarious. And then that was it. And I just kind of remember thinking it was meh. It was okay. I didn't really care about it. And then this was really weird. A few years ago, my friend TJ, he challenged me to, after I did a really epic Disney playlist that lasted all the way from where we live to Disney World on a road trip. He was like, all right, before we do Disney again, you have to make another playlist, all Disney music, all bangers, but none of the same songs. So I had to look up a bunch of Disney songs that I didn't remember, try to create that playlist. Found a few really good ones from Brother Bear and realized it wasn't on Spotify. And that made me sad.
It is now.
And then like a year later, I got a notification from Spotify because I tried to look it up, I guess. It was like, yeah, Brother Bear's on Spotify now. And I was like, what? Listened to it and I was like, wait a minute. The music for this film was fantastic.
Yeah.
I then proceeded to watch the movie, especially once it came up on Disney Plus. I was like, wait, I could just watch this. And I'm like, oh, man, this movie is actually one of my not favorite. This is like, for me, it's better than the average Disney movie. I'll say that. I won't put it in my top list, but like,
I don't think we used that playlist.
We haven't yet.
We have been to Disney since then.
Yeah, but it wasn't a Disney trip. It was a trip that we also went to Disney for.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
We go to Disney a lot.
Join our Patreon to support my addiction to Disney World so that I could take TJ and we could listen to that specific playlist.
Yeah, no, it's a banger. It's Phil Collins, again, post Tarzan success.
Yeah. Well, and it's the same, I forget who was it. The same person does the themes too, that did the themes in Tarzan. They were like, we're getting Phil Collins back and we're getting that guy back. They did great. They were right.
Jack something?
It was something. Anyway.
Jack Parker?
Yeah. No, it was a good movie though. But like, having seen it again, I'm just like, man, this is an incredibly underappreciated film. And that makes me sad.
Mark Mancina.
Yeah. And what's funny too? Yes. But what's funny too is like, even thinking of like underappreciated or underrated movies, it's like it kind of gets the same problem as coming out in the year 2003, where it's like, oh, these other great movies comes out. Cause it's like, we're talking about underrated post-Renaissance films. Atlantis Treasure Planet come up, and then you're like, yeah, Brother Bear is underrated, but it is not as good as Atlantis or Treasure Planet. It just isn't. I can't make that argument.
No, but it is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. So with that, let's go to what this movie's about. If you had to summarize the story of the film, because you're better at summaries than me. Although, do you remember the movie well enough to summarize it? That's
like
the real joke.
A short summary, yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's go for it.
So a man kills a bear, and the spirits don't like that. So they turn him into a bear, and he has to live with trying to turn back into a human. And he makes new friends and gains a deeper understanding of the world around him along the way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think the only thing that maybe I would add is I think it's important that the reason he killed the bear was for revenge, because that bear, and he thinks, killed his brother. Yeah. And there's reasons behind that. It's nuanced, but it is important that he was going after revenge, because the movie is very much a love versus revenge kind of story, and a story of what's really weird is this movie almost like if you're looking at it like themes, because I'm watching it thinking about, hey, we're going to do systematic ecology later. So I'm actually like looking for the meaning of the movie. And I feel like most Disney movies, you can ignore the meaning of the film pretty easily. And I'm watching it and it feels like a youth pastor who wants to talk about biblical manhood is who came up with the theme of this movie. Because they literally like verbatim, the main character goes, oh, yeah, my totem is going to be bravery or smashing things and something manly. And then his totem turned out to be the bear of love. And he's like, what does love have to do with being a man? And it's like, yeah, this was youth pastor. This is what biblical manhood is. He came up with the theme. Yeah. I don't know which youth pastor, but the first one you thought of, it was him. It was Josh Patterson.
We love Josh Patterson.
Spoiler alert. All right. So if you had to rate this film 0 to 10,
8.
All right. Do you want to explain, or you just want to 8?
It's beautiful. Watching the movie, it's really gorgeous. They drew their hearts out on this. It's also, I think the story is really good. It's really interesting. The characters are fun, and they're fun to get to know. You understand Kenai, Coda. I've seen mixed feelings on. I like Coda. Always did. He's just a little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of funny moose.
Do like the moose. Weirdly enough, and I think if people watch the show long enough, they would understand this, because of like, we mean different things when we say rate. So when I say rate, I'm comparing to other Disney movies. 0 is the worst Disney movie. 5 is an average Disney movie. 10 is Hercules and or Jungle Book. So for me, I'd put this at a 6, which is lower than TJ's rating, but I still feel like there's a chance I might like it better than TJ.
It's probably true.
Yeah, we just rate things different. Because I really do love this movie. The problem is I'm rating it against other Disney movies, and I really do love almost every Disney movie. It's a sickness. But yeah, no, just like you said, like the same things. The weird thing for me with this film is the characters, fantastic. Like if I was going like part by part, characters, 10 out of 10, story, 10 out of 10, music, 10 out of 10, animation, 10 out of 10. Like literally, I think every element in the movie is done perfectly. But then overall, it just comes out really good. It was like everything was executed well. Everything was done great. But for me, the pieces are better than the whole. And I still like the whole. It's just kind of somehow the whole didn't turn out as good as all of the parts of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did that make any sense at all?
I mean,
is that one of those like Josh bad opinion things?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
All right. I mean, I tried. I do, especially like the Northern Lights animations, like when they like the way they animate the lights and the spirits. And I'm like, oh, it's gorgeous. And for me, I don't know about you, it also has like the backgrounds. It's very reminiscent of like Fox and the Hound, which is one of my favorites, like actual favorite Disney movies. So I love that. And this is a really weird one, but when I think of like the story of like Coda and Kanai's like relationship and them like growing together, it really reminds me of Logan. Mind you, it comes out first, but it's still one of those like, yeah, this is kind of like a Wolverine, I don't want you around, kid. And then the kid kind of rubbing off Wolverine a little bit, you know?
Yeah, Logan is based on Brother Bear. That makes sense to me.
Accurate, yeah. Well, I mean, Canada, Alaska, it's pretty close. Yeah. There's probably moose. Watch Logan again. Look for the moose.
Alaska's up there. I don't think any part of Logan takes place in Canada, actually.
Definitely possible.
Yeah, I think actually none of it is in Canada.
That's pretty funny.
Maybe the end, actually. Is that forest in Canada? So
going into some of the like just some of the detail stuff, because you guys know I get like really nerdy because I am like the Diz nerd of the show. I feel like that's safe. I'm trying to think. Like I know other people love Disney, but I feel like I'm probably the biggest Disney nerd on our show so far. That may change. One of the like coolest to me, one of the coolest things like art wise that the film does, and this is more a filmography thing, when Kenai turns into a bear, the ratio changes. Like they literally just change where it's like it's kind of boxed in to boom, full widescreen. And me, because like I guess I'm just like really good at adjusting to whatever I'm seeing. So like I turn it on, I didn't notice it wasn't widescreen until he goes bear, and I was like, wait a minute. Did the ratio just change? I was like, oh, it did on purpose.
Yeah. I love it. I love it when movies do that to like show a change in perspective.
God, yeah.
So smart.
Yeah. Physically showing that change. Might be weird, but for me, it kind of reminds me of the Book of Daniel, because in the Book of Daniel, it's about like how the people are exiled in Babylon. The first part's written in Hebrew, the language of the Hebrew people. And then once they have their names changed, boom, all of a sudden the book's in Aramaic. And I'm like, yeah, that's just funny. I love when like the medium itself reflects the art in style. I just think it's cool. It's just a cool art thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. This also, I mentioned this earlier, this was the third and last film that was created in Florida's MGM Studios feature animation. So they had a second animation studio that they used that was just in Florida. And they only used it 3 times. One of the big reasons they cited was they believed that people just were no longer interested in 2D animation. After Brother Bear, they were like, you know what? People just don't care about 2D animation anymore. So they wanted to go just more all CGI or all like computer-based graphic kind of stuff. And it shows for a while. Disney eventually learned that they overcorrected, and people do still like real art in their animation. And you could do a little bit of both and make it work good. But yeah, unfortunately, this was until I think Princess and the Frog. They just gave up on 2D animation after this.
Yeah.
Also, Princess and the Frog was fantastic.
Yeah, what a return to form.
Yeah. Great movie. Can't wait till we do that one.
Yeah, I'm really glad they, realized that 2D animation was good. But you know what was really good? Deep Canvas.
Yeah. See more on Treasure Planet. Okay, some of the other art stuff I wanted to go through. I'm going to butcher some people's names. Just what I do. Sorry, guys. Aaron Blaise, he helped direct this film, and he won the Academy Award for Best Animated Film of the Year. The same year that Finding Nemo came out, this year won the award for Best Animated Film of the Year. Blows my mind. But he was one of the animators for Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and a few of those other like classic Disney Renaissance films. So Aaron Blaise is a name to remember. Robert Walker, he co-directed this film. He also helped animate Lilo and Stitch, Mulan, and a bunch of other Renaissance films. And one of my favorite things of this film for me, and this is one of those names I want. If you're a big Disney nerd, you should remember the name Byron Howard and try to pronounce it better than me, because I just read stuff. I don't like listen to things most of the time. That's not true. I listen to podcasts, but for some reason, this kind of stuff I only read. I don't know. But Byron Howard, he was the supervising animator for this film. He later becomes the director of Bolt, which was awesome. Tangled, which is what brings in the whole like revival of Disney and makes Disney popular again. And of course, he's also the director of Encanto, which is the best recent Disney film.
I do have to say though, this did not win Animated Movie of the Year. Nemo definitely did win that year. They got nominated though.
Interesting. I wonder where I got that from. Who knows?
He got
fact
nominated.
check on there. There you go, guys. But Byron Howard, cool guy. Good one to remember. He also grew up writing because he always aspired to be like, this is one of those like lifelong dream stories. He always wanted to be a Disney animator. And he grew up writing like pen pals with one of Disney's 9 old men. I forget who it was exactly, but he wrote letters back and forth and eventually got into like Disney's animating classes and all that, and was a supervising animator for this film and eventually directed some of the biggest Disney films to date.
So good. Also, name that's become a lot more popular recently, Joaquin Phoenix.
I was going to mention that. Did you see the quote from him?
Where? When?
I couldn't find it. I think it was an interview he did after what was it? Was it Braveheart? Brave?
Gladiator?
Maybe. Yeah. I'm very fuzzy on the details with this. I think it was after Gladiator. I know it was after he won an award for Gladiator, and he's in some kind of interview and he says, yeah, that's cool and all, but I get to be the lead character in a Disney animated film, thinking that was like the pinnacle of his career or something that he was talking about. Brother Bear is good. People just don't remember it like that.
Yeah,
I feel like he's probably at this point most known for Gladiator or the Joker.
probably
Maybe?
Joker.
Yeah,
Probably Joker.
probably. Some of the other history behind this film, and this is like one of those things that just like points to why TJ is right. So one of the things that a lot of people remember the most about this movie are the commercials where the two moose just talk about the movie. They're just kind of making jokes. And a lot of them was like commercials in the theater. And they'd be like, if you're only going to see one movie this year, make it Brother Bear. It's like, wait a minute, you're in the theater. Leave now and come back when it's Brother Bear. Hilarious bit. However, the one bit that some people think really messed this movie up, they had a similar commercial, just the moose, on the DVD release of Lion King. And they say the phrase of like, yeah, think it's like the Lion King, but with bears. So a lot of people went into this film with this expectation, and there's enough like parallels to Lion King that people just kind of made that comparison. And yeah, it's not as good as Lion King. So people were disappointed by that.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah, just bad advertising.
You should also mention that the moose are Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas.
Mm-hmm. I heard that, but I didn't recognize the names.
So like Spaceballs.
Funny. Good to know.
Yeah,
Moose were
Rick
hilarious.
Moranis did Spaceballs, and Dave Thomas is just like a comedian
I did love
and
the Moose.
singer and actor, and Dave Thomas does all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed them. Like I thought a lot of their bits, there was like really family friendly bits, but it was like just random comedic bits all throughout. And I think the only like real meaningful moment they have in the story is when Coda is like running away because he just found out Kanai like murdered his mom basically. And he's like all upset and he's crying and he never wants to see him again. And then the moose are like arguing about something stupid. It's like, you can't be mad at me forever. I'm your brother, eh? And they have this like one heartfelt moment right when Coda needs to hear it. And I think that's the only thing they do that actually impacts the story. I think for the most part, they're just there to be funny.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm pretty sure at one point they say, without us, there would be no comedy in this film. Because they do break the fourth wall a couple times, which is some of my favorite humor.
Yeah, I think what it boils down to is a lot of this one wasn't as tuned to the kids as a lot of people thought a Disney movie should be. It was a lot more serious, tone's a lot deeper. The moose are there, but they're not there constantly. It's not like Lion King 1.5, where the moose are just watching the movie with you and riffing on it.
Mm-hmm. Although supposedly at one point there was a plan that they were going to do, like, you know how there was the Timon and Pumbaa show? They were going to do a show of just the moose. I think that would have been great. I wish they would have done it. Yeah.
I would have watched that.
Yeah. I might still watch that if it was out.
Make sure you follow us on Instagram, catch us live at events we are holding or attending, get updates when we post new episodes of the podcast, see our other favorite content that we lift up and support, as well as just see our beautiful faces and engage with us through messages. Maybe watch a reel and give us the feedback of what you think of the show.
Okay, let's see. At one point, the movie was going to be called The Bears, like originally. There wasn't a Coda. There wasn't a young cub. It was an older bear that was on the trip with him. And it was going to be based on Shakespeare's King Lear. So at one point, it really was just, hey, instead of lions doing Hamlet, what if it was bears doing a different Shakespeare play? And they kind of scrapped that.
I think it's a good formula. I think they need to go back to that.
I do like that. Like part of me is like, I love this story enough that I'm glad that they changed it. But then part of me is like, I think I'd like to live in a world where more people knew the plot of King Lear.
I want to see monkeys doing like the cast of Amontillado. Shake it up, not Shakespearean, but
yeah. Who knew? Oh man, I just like that Lion King 2 was just Macbeth. Like they're like, you know what? I wish they would just keep making Lion King sequels where each time it was just lions doing a different Shakespeare play.
It'd be pretty good.
I'd watch them. I'd watch all of them.
Lion King is the only like Disney series that is wholly and completely exempt from the bad sequels. 1.5 and 2, I think, are both pretty good.
They're fantastic. Although Lilo and Stitch sequels are pretty good. I love Lilo and Stitch sequels.
True, and the TV show was good.
The TV show was fantastic.
Very rare properties end up in the not bad Disney sequels. Brother Bear 2, I don't remember hating, so it's probably better than most of the sequels.
I was going to mention that, but first I just want to like mention to you, because I think it's funny. How long do you think it'll take listeners to realize that I already listed what 3 movies we're doing in the post Renaissance, and we did not include Lilo and Stitch?
Well, probably not until just now.
Ah, okay. Well, if it makes them feel better, we're going to talk about the direct to home videos, even though that's not one of the eras, and we're going to do Stitch the movie. So we're still going to talk about Lilo and Stitch. I just found it like a little walk around because I wanted to talk about these movies. But yeah, what's weird? Rotten Tomatoes, Brother Bear 2 has a higher rating than Brother Bear. I don't remember that movie. I don't know if I've seen it.
Yeah, I don't remember it at all.
I really do kind of want to now. Like I'm curious.
Like, the fact that I don't remember hating it means that it is still probably better than most of the other Disney sequels.
Yeah. Oh, Aladdin's another one. I like Aladdin sequels.
Nope.
Although there's one huge problem with Aladdin sequels.
They're bad.
Only one, but it's a huge problem. No, they're good. But Genie isn't who Genie should be. Robin Williams needs to be the genie. Okay, anyway. Phil Collins actually was upset about this movie for one specific reason. He wrote all the songs. He did not sing all of the songs. He did not like other people singing his songs. Disney didn't tell him that's what was happening until they started recording. He was like, what do you mean other people are going to sing my songs? But also, I think he went just as hard for this as he did Tarzan. Like, I think these songs were like well written. And the first song they play, that's like Tina Turner or someone sings it. There's a version on the Disney album that Phil Collins sings. His version is way better. I think he should just sing all of his songs. Turns out he knows what he wants better than other people.
Yeah. He just writes music for himself.
Yeah, and he's good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, one thing we like to do for our Disney Eras series, each movie we like to share our favorite scene, favorite character, and favorite song. Should we do one at a time, or should we each do all 3?
Let's just do all 3.
Okay, I'll go first. Although it's hard to go. Coda's my favorite. I character. I love him. He's cute. He's funny. And just the way that he just pokes fun at Kadai is just fun for me. I enjoy it. As far as favorite song, this is hard, but I'm gonna go with the welcome to our family time. I think it's just called Welcome. It's a good song though.
Yeah, it was the Blind Boys of Alabama.
Yeah, it was fun.
Classic gospel group.
Yeah. Wait, really? Is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that why it sounds like that?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's such a good song. I love it. And favorite scene, I think my favorite scene, it's hard because like I think the best animated scene is when he turns into a bear and the northern lights are like touching the waters and it's like all glowing. It looks cool as crap. But my actual favorite scene, I think, is when he goes to tell Kadai is going to tell Coda the story of what actually happened. Because Coda just told everybody the story of like his mom and how his mom fought off this giant monster and he's going to meet up with her. And after he tells it, Kadai realizes, oh crap, I know that story. What he doesn't know is I killed his mom. And he sits down with his cub to tell him what really happened. And what I like that they don't show him telling him. They show them talking and it kind of zooms out and it does Phil Collins music. And the song is just kind of about reconciling with what you did kind of stuff. And it's just a really beautiful scene. Like, it was very moving. And I think Coda's reaction is very honest. And it's just one of the very rare moments in really any animation where it's just a deeply emotional and honest moment. And it was like, wow, it was really well done. Yeah. All right, TJ, if you had to pick 3.
Okay, yeah. Cheaping out. 3 easiest answers. On my way, the Northern Lights answer, or the Northern Lights scene where he transforms, and Coda. Easy.
Yeah. On My Way is a fantastic song too. I really feel like those are really the only 2 choices. It's either Welcome or On My Way. I
think Transformation is fantastic and gorgeous. It's performed by the Bulgarian Women's Choir, and they're always just so sensational.
I also, now that I say it, I would respect the answer if someone gave the song that happens in the scene that I was just talking about that I can't remember. Is that Look Through My Eyes? I don't know. Whatever the name of that song is. If they would choose that, that's a solid answer too. All right. So that's our favorite character, favorite scene, all that kind of stuff. Going to move forward. How different do you think? So they kind of like blur the lines on like the differences between the animal kingdom animals and like humans. Is there much of a difference? Do you think animals have spirits, have souls? Does this movie make you want to be a vegetarian because the next cow you eat might be someone's brother?
No, it's just part of the circle of life. If someone kills me to feed their family, then oh well. It's kind of how I feel about that.
I guess.
So no, I don't feel bad. What were the other questions?
Yeah, just how close do you think animals have spirits or souls?
Oh, it's hard to tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel the same way.
It's hard to tell.
I am unsure.
I think animals definitely have sentience. Much stronger sense of it than most people think.
Yeah, like it's one of those where we very clearly evolved to be omnivores, so I don't feel guilty about being an omnivore. However, if we had ways that I could get the same nutrients and all the stuff, I don't know. Sort of. But you know what I mean. Whenever they do the thing where they're trying to like 3D print meat and it's exactly the same thing as actual meat, but didn't involve killing any animal, I'd be pretty tempted to go that way. But the problem is also the act of killing one another actually is important to the earth continuing on, or else things overpopulate or underpopulate. And actually kind of entirely destroys the entire ecosystem if we don't actively murder things.
Yeah.
Which sounds terrible. And it is. But that's reality. Reality is terrible sometimes.
Yep, you heard it here first, folks. Get out there and get the killing. Murder thy neighbor. That's one of the commands.
I do think, though, like this movie does bring out some really good points. And a lot of the Native American stuff, like if you're studying like how they do spirituality and like respecting nature, and even when we do take life to consume meat, like being respectful about it and not just killing and overeating for the sake of it. I think there is something to that. Like, I think we should be a little bit more respectful of things and not just treat meat as a product, but rather of hey, this was life once, and that is meaningful in some way. I don't know what way, but it is in some way meaningful, I think. Okay. Other places that you can find the characters in this film. Not a ton, because again, it wasn't super popular, but a lot of Disney cruise lines start with playing I'm on My Way, which is a fantastic way to start a cruise, I think. The song fits. It's great. If you do a cruise to Alaska, those cruises often will have Coda and Kadai, some of the characters on board. Also, very, very rare instances, you might find the bears in Canada and Epcot, which is cool. Welcome. That song was used in Disneyland's 50th anniversary parade celebration. It actually is what started the parade. They started with Welcome. Kind of cool. My favorite, though, is this year, 2024, there is a limited time flotilla that's running with Coda and Kanai in Animal Kingdom. So every now and then, there's just a tiny little float with Coda and Kanai going through Animal Kingdom this year.
That's really cool.
I don't know why they decided this year, but I'm here for it. It's a good time.
I want to go.
Yeah, me too. So outside of that, DJ, if you had to pick like just one way for them to use these characters better in Disney parks, where'd you put them?
Circus bears, long history. Bears are super smart, super trainable. There needs to be a Coda Kanai show in Animal Kingdom.
That'd be sick. I actually really want, this is so random. I know what they're doing. I understand why they're doing South America and they're replacing Dino Land and Animal Kingdom with South America. I understand why. I want like North America. Yeah, me too. I'll be sad. But I want North America in Animal Kingdom. Like, I kind of think it would be just cool to see like wolves and bears and like cool North American animals there. And also, we have a lot of really good Disney films you could tie in, not just Brother Bear, but like Fox and the Hound. I think it'd be funny to randomly tie in like 101 Dalmatians or Aristocats or something just like really basic like that. But
Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, Princess and the Frog would be a good one. There's a lot of like Bambi. Yeah. I mean, I just think it would be cool. It would be fun. Also, a brother bear that's like a rickety, like either a water ride or like a train ride, like wooden roller coaster.
Water ride.
Either one would be fun.
Water ride.
Yeah, but it ends in like a wave pool and it's
Salmon run.
constantly playing welcome. Yeah, that's true. TJ is correct, as always. Yeah. All right, so we do want to think deeper on this show. We're going to ask some of the bigger questions that this movie asked, and there is a lot of bigger questions this movie asked. So we're just going to do a speed round. I'm going to ask TJ, what is the meaning of life, and just go through, and he'll answer everything. We're not going to do that.
Yep.
But this movie does talk a lot about like family dynamics and like challenging what we think of like the roles of society. One of which we mentioned earlier, the main character straight up asks, you might as well look at the screen and go, what does love have to do with being a man? So, TJ, what does love have to do with being a man?
Love has everything to do with being a man. In my opinion, being a man is mostly about the effect that you have on those around you and the world at large. And how can you do that if not through love?
Yeah, it's interesting. I also feel like it's like different times, 2003 and today. I mean, obviously, it's definitely a different time. But when you ask that question then, people are a lot more like we thought a lot more binarily, I think. Does that make sense? So there are different layers to that question today. And I do think like in your normal household, this is going to look different from couple to couple, person to person, you know, whatever your dynamics may be at your house. Could be all kinds of different. But I think there's something, I'm trying to phrase this right. Without it having to be about male or female, I still think there is something masculine about love itself, especially the love that they're talking about in this movie. Like, it's not just like love in general. It's not like romance. Like, he's specifically talking about this kind of love where you're caring for and overseeing others. And that's not something that's exclusive to men, but it's one of those things that I do think can be seen as a masculine trait, and probably healthy if we do see it more as a masculine trait sometimes instead of only aggression, perhaps.
Yeah, I just don't like gender roles.
Yeah, gender roles are weird.
Yeah, my guy's non-binary.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of funny. No, but I do think this movie does kind of just assume some gender roles, and you get some weird vibes from that. But being human in general, I think love is a pretty important thing, and definitely more important than, just being brave or strong or any of those other things, which again, gender neutral. Anyone can be brave or strong or show love. But I thought it was really interesting to show him do that thing where he's trying to use brute strength and he's going to go get revenge. And then the story actually turns into, it had nothing to do with revenge or letting his brother move on or anything. In fact, his relationship to the brother that passed really had nothing to do with what he needed at all. It was rather a new brother he found, and the ability to care for and love for the other. Okay. There's a lot of death in this film for a kid's movie. His brother dies. The kid's mom is murdered. I think there's a few others. Not a ton. Like, it's not just constant killing, but for a little kid's movie, that's a lot of death that it just kind of starts with, that kind of drives the plot. And it is a little bit dark when you think about it. Like, you're watching a kid's movie where you're just waiting for this little kid to find out that the person he's been hanging out with murdered his mom. And it's like, oh, that's difficult. Do you think they handled this well, or as well as they could have, if you're going to include this kind of talk about death in a kid's movie?
Yeah, I feel like it's not a negative message. Like, they don't portray death as some, well, I mean, it is horrible, but they don't portray it as like the end of the world. It's pretty healthy the way they talk about it, and they show that they show you an unhealthy way to deal with it. Yeah, I agree.
Next one. Sorry, there's just too many deep themes. We could have done a whole series just on Brother Bear, really. The scene that I talked about, the welcome. So he shows up and he's like, oh, I've never been to any of these things. I don't really know how to be a bear. And then all of a sudden they bust out into the welcome song and they're loving each other and they're hanging out and they have a moment where everyone's sharing stories, and it's not just one person in charge. And they have like a real sense of community and love. Naturally, I see that. And hey, he's supposed to learn love. And I think that community helped him do it. And immediately I'm challenged to think, do you think that's like anything like our church communities at all? Because I feel like that's what our church communities claim to be. But I'm unsure if someone just showed up in church for the first time that they would have that same experience that I had here, where he felt loved and accepted.
Well, the churches that I've been to, I think generally that is similar. But I do think there is an environment, especially in our country, where that's more likely to happen. You walk in and you feel welcome and, a part of the group, and that's any open buffet or bar.
Yeah. Yeah, bars tend to be better at that, actually. But I think a lot of churches do it well, but it also, unfortunately, I think a lot of the times it has to do with what kind of person walks through the door. If it's someone that's looks like or dresses like the other people there, I feel like it's a little bit easier. But if it's just for example, I know a lot of conservative churches, if someone comes in who's LGBTQ wearing like a rainbow shirt, I don't think they're going to feel quite as welcome as Kadai did in the bear community here. Yeah.
No.
So I don't know. I think it could be a good challenge, or it could be a good affirmation of, hey, some of our churches are doing this, and that's pretty cool. From what you described Theology Beer Camp last year, kind of makes me think of this welcome scene.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Other one was penance. Penance was a big theme in this. So it wasn't just, he had to learn love, but it's also like he had this responsibility to pay back what he took. Out of revenge, he killed this kid's mom, and he ends up having to, even in the end, when he's able to become human again, he ends up choosing to go back to being a bear because he has this responsibility to care for and love this cub. There's a lot of wrapped up in that, but just simply, do you think, like, is penance something we should all do for our wrongs? Like, should we go back and fix it if we can?
Yeah.
And is that responsibility more important than our family? Because he kind of forsook his family to go do that.
At that point, that's kind of the issue where I'm going to try and stay ahead of the problem so I don't have to do that kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe like a case by case kind of thing. But I think it was powerful the way they do it. And we've talked about this on the Whole Church podcast with Sister Rose of the Catholic Church before. And I think it's interesting how Protestants and Catholics have a very different view of penance. And this movie kind of touches on some of this, but it's the Catholic thought is you go to the priest, he tells you penance, and as you are paying your penance, you begin to feel and experience forgiveness, salvation, whatever, right? So in this example, just for whatever, Kadai, let's say instead of the spirits, he goes to a priest, and the priest says, oh no, you have to go become a bear and take care of this cub. And as he's doing that, he would experience salvation. It's kind of the Catholic thought. The Protestant thought is more of, you ask for forgiveness, you are already saved the moment you ask for forgiveness. And then after that, your actions should then change, and your actions will be a penance, if that makes sense. So really the question really isn't, should you pay penance or not? It's more of a, do the actions happen the moment of salvation or after salvation? But yeah, how do you think this happened with him? Like, do you think, like, obviously he's not a Christian, so he's not like getting saved, or maybe he is, we don't know. But do you think for him that he experienced more the change as he was doing the work, or do you think he started doing the work after he was changed?
Definitely he changed as he was doing the work. I mean, we see it in the movie. It's like, Coda, you leave me alone, Brett.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit of both, though, because like he definitely does start to change as he is paying his penance. That was kind of just thrusted upon him. But also there's this moment where he truly changed and he's able to be human. And he's like, at that moment that he realized he's learned what love is, he chooses to go back and kind of finish his penance. So it's a little bit of both and, I guess, to use a Lutheran language. I'm doing good. Will should be proud of me. Yeah. So that's what I think as far as the penance thing. But yeah, like love, responsibility, penance, gender norms. There are a lot of deep themes in this film overall. Yeah. If you had to rate how they handle these deep themes, just specifically that 0 to 10, where would you put it?
Probably a 9. This is the kind of thing that Disney struggles with lately.
Yeah. Like I don't think current Disney movies get this deep. Some of them get kind of deep, and Kanto got a little deep, but not this deep. Yeah. The only thing that I think that detracts for me is the gender norm thing of, oh man. And there's only like one real female character in the entire movie. Although I'll say 1.5, because there was that time they're all sharing stories and the older lady bear keeps being like, my poor dead husband. And the man's in the background going, I'm not dead. Stop telling people that. And that might be the funniest bit of the movie. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You have anything else you want to add about Brother Bear before we wrap this one up?
The game was pretty good.
There was a game?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
Ooh, also, there would be a great Kingdom Hearts level.
Yeah. It's
No,
on
There's a
Game
game.
Boy.
What? Man, I gotta go find this Brother Bear game. That's awesome.
You-
I didn't know
you
that.
can probably play it on your laptop, honestly.
Probably. There's got to be a. All right. Anyway. All right. Let's wrap this one up. Hey, guys, we will be doing a bonus question for those who support our show on Captivate, Apple Podcasts, or Patreon. You can hear me and TJ answer which animal in Alaska we think we would most likely transform into if we had to pay atonement for our past. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. Recommendation. TJ, what do you want to recommend?
I was going to try and make it relevant. I give up. You should probably... Actually, you know what? Watch The Bear on Hulu.
I mean, that's kind of relevant.
Yep. Called The Bear. Good show.
Yeah. My kind of relevant thing, go ahead and pre-order Mickey Mouse Epic Rebrushed. They're redoing the games. It's going to be on Switch. I think it's going to be way better as a handheld game than it was a TV game platform. It's the same game. I just think I'm going to enjoy it more when I can play it in my hands. Yeah. I'm excited for that. Anyway, so with that, guys, remember you can always rate our show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Podchaser. Helps us a lot if you go over to podchaser.com and rate and review us there. Thank you, Ethan Overcast, for being one of the people who support our show. Remember, you listening, you can also be like Ethan and support our show either on Captivate, Apple Podcasts, or on Patreon. Again, this is part of our Disney Era series. So if you want to hear the other episodes in the Era series or follow it when we release Treasure Planet next month, there's a link down below. You can see the whole playlist. So check that out. And remember, we're all a chosen people, a geekdom of priests.
Do you love systematic ecology as much as I do? Of course you do. So why don't you hop on over to the Systematic Ecology shop and get yourself some merch. We have clothing like hats, extra soft t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies. We even have glassware and mugs. One of my favorite coffee mugs that I use every morning is a coffee mug that has on it, share the faith, share the geek. Yeah, I get my geek on first thing every morning, thinking of systematic ecology. And I know you need to hop over there and get you some merch, represent us out in the wild, out in the public, and let people know that you too like to share the faith and share the geek.
Hey guys, Christian here to talk to you about the ANT Network. That is the Amazon Ministries Podcasting Network. That's what we do for all of us here together. You can follow the whole network in a single feed on Spotify at Amazon Ministries Podcast or on the network page on Apple Podcasts to just see what we're all doing. And what are we doing? Well, we have plenty of things here. We've got the homily. You love Pastor Will. You want to hear Pastor Will preach. You hear the man doing a homily there. It's amazing. The man does spectacular work for Holy Trinity Lutheran Church in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Then we have the Whole Church podcast. If you want to hear Joshua and TJ talk to different people from around the church who have very different views on how things should go, check it out there. You want to go to My Seminary Life? You want to get some more Brandon Knight in your life? Who doesn't want more of that? Go there, hear about the man, discuss his time at seminary, which is what he used to do. Now he's on other topics, and just head out there for what the rest of the man can do. Hear a lot of good stuff that way. Now you can head over to Let Nothing Move You. That's my podcast where I go through the Bible chapter by chapter, verse by verse. I started with Luke, then I went to Romans. Now I'm in Genesis, and I'm moving on from there. It's a good time if you want to hear how I view the Bible, how things should go there. You can do that. You can go to Dummy for Theology, where you hear Joshua Noel discuss the various theological topics that he has there in an attempt to show every side of the big discussions, leaving you with more questions than answers. If that infuriates you like me, but you still want to listen, head out that way. You can go to the Bible After Hours. We have the foul-mouthed preacher there, and he's going to deliver things that not ready for every ear to hear, but sometimes you need someone to be a little filthy out there just to give a more progressive view of the church, to challenge the status quo of what is happening here. Do you agree with him? Do you not like him? How are you going to know if you don't listen to him? And finally, we have save best for last, the Clydes. Taylor and Elizabeth Clyde. You need some more pangalanging in your life, like all of us do, then head out there, see what's going on in their own life, in their own ministry, so you can hear the devotions and everything going on in their lives. Once again, that's the Amazon Ministries Podcasting Network, AMP, and we love you guys. See you next time.